Good morning. Welcome to the first annual Middle School Speaker Series sponsored by Stop the Violence Lynn Committee. My name is Rob Smith, and I am one of the Stop the Violence Committee members. We'd like to thank Mayor Judy Kennedy, Superintendent Dr. Kathy Latham, Police Chief Kevin Coppinger, U.S. Attorney Carmen Ortiz, and Jamil Ball from the U.S. Attorney's Office for your participation and support of today's event. Give you a brief overview of Stop the Violence. The Stop the Violence Lynn Committee was founded 2 years ago when the concerned community members sat down for a cup of coffee and shared their concerns for the growing rate of violence in our city. A fire was ignited inside of them, and the desire to be part of the solution was born. In 2 short years, the committee hosted a variety of events from basketball tournaments to walks for peace and parent forums. We're excited to have all of you here today and believe each and every one of your lives matter. If we can influence you all today to take a path of success versus street life through the words of your community leaders, we will have accomplished our mission. I would like to take a moment to introduce my other fellow committee members. From West Lynn Pop Warner coach and former Lynn English High School basketball coach, Fred Hogan. Youth Street Outreach Worker, Antonio Gutierrez. Lynn School Committee Member, John Ford. Director and School Liaison for the Lynn Family Ford Resource Center, Ebony White. School nurse and current Lynn English High School basketball coach, Rachel Bradley. Director of Health and Physical Education of Lynn Public Schools, Mike Geary. Two members are not here with us today, Peter Capano and Lieutenant Peter Holy of the Lynn Police Department. And as I said, my name is Rob Smith. I'm also a committee member. The committee wants you all to know we are here because we care about each and every student in this room and want you all to reach the highest level of success. Please seek us out if we will always be willing to point you in the right direction. Our mission is to impact each one of you here today and set you up for a successful future, so please give these folks your undivided attention as they speak today. At this time, I would like to introduce Chief of Police Kevin Coppinger.
Good morning. Superintendent Latham was just telling me that this is the best 6th and 7th grade she's seen in years. Is that true? Is that true? That's what I wanted to hear. Welcome, and thank you for coming. First of all, I want to thank the Stop the Violence group for putting this event together. This means a lot to me as a police officer and as a citizen of Lynn and as a father of 2 boys. It's a great cause, and I hope you will take your time and listen to everybody today because there is a good message that you're going to hear. And please join me for a quick round of applause for our organizers. You know, this morning, when I was having a cup of coffee, I picked up the Boston Herald, and on the front page, there's a story that in the last 2 weeks, 2 15-year-olds were stabbed to death in East Boston. That should not happen. Last Friday, here in Lynn, on my way home, I responded to a shooting down on Howard Street, and when I arrived there was a 17-year-old laying on the ground, grimacing in pain with a bullet through his leg. That should not happen. As Rob just mentioned, and what the purpose of this meeting is today, we need to stop the violence. As a police officer of 32 years, I've seen a lot, And as I joke often, that's how I got these gray hairs. But things seem to be going in the wrong direction. Firearms are plentiful, and the willingness to use them is also plentiful, and that cannot be sustained. We have to stop it. The point of my comments is a lot of this is preventable. In middle school, I know you're getting a lot of instructions in academics and maybe sports and some extracurricular activities, but I know you're also getting the message to make good decisions in life. You have a long way to go. And that's important, and please keep that in mind throughout the rest of your lives, because you always have to make good decisions if you want to be a productive member of society. And at your age now, you have great role models, starting at home with mom and dad. But that also extends into the schools with your teachers and the staff, the school resource officers, your coaches and other instructors. And it also comes here today where we have the U.S. Attorney Carmen Ortiz and her program here that we want you to listen to and learn something from. One of the old law enforcement trainers that I've seen many, many times says if it's predictable, it's preventable. Violence is predictable. It will happen. We are not a nonviolent country right now. We are a violent country, hence why we're here. But we can prevent it if we work together, make those good decisions, and have fruitful and productive lives for all of us. So in closing, I want to say thank you again for coming. Listen carefully today, and we hope you walk out of here with something good that's useful for the rest of your lives. Thank you very much.
Before I introduce the next speaker, I want to introduce somebody and have them say hello to you. Doesn't have to get up and speak. New to the school district, our new Deputy Superintendent, Mr. Patrick Tutwiler, excuse me. All right, our next speaker is going to be the Honorable Mayor Judy Kennedy.
Good morning, everybody. I first of all want to let everybody know that the efforts of these people in trying to stop the violence in the city of Lynn have been recognized at the state level by Governor Charlie Baker, who has given us a citation for the hard work that they have done. So thank you to everybody on this team. I don't have a lot to say because the important people who are going to be delivering the message will be following me in this program. What I do want to say to you, you are all young people and you have a chance to change the world. Your examples, oh, go ahead and clap for yourselves. I think you should. Your examples and the behaviors that you learn and display now are going to set the tone and be the model for those younger than you, those that are still in elementary school. You will be showing them how to act. So my message to you is this is not just a problem amongst young people. You can turn on the news any day and see how violence is affecting our society. You're going to have two choices. You can be part of the problem or part of the solution. And I'm certainly hoping that after you hear our wonderful speakers today, you will choose to be part of the solution. Thank you so much for coming.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to introduce Superintendent of Schools, Ms. Catherine Latham.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to see you all here. I'm going to jump on what the chief and the mayor have both said, and Rob before me, that we are all about empowering you students to make good decisions in your life. Right? You have to concentrate on making good decisions all of the time, because one bad decision can ruin your life, and we don't want that to happen. We have social workers and guidance counselors and wonderful teachers that you can go to for assistance. And we have a wonderful program, and we'll continue to have more programs for you to inspire you to do the right thing all the time. What I'm going to ask you to do today is listen hard so you can internalize something that's said and bring something positive for your life back to school. So if one of your teachers said, what did you get out of today? What really resonated with you? What meant something to you? You'll be able to say something out of what you hear today. So take something positive back with you. And please vow to make good decisions and to help each other make good decisions as well. Again, it's a pleasure. Thank you. And I am charged with the wonderful responsibility to introduce U.S. Attorney Carmen Ortiz. It's a pleasure. It is both a pleasure and an honor for all of us today to be able to hear from her. She doesn't visit many schools, and we're fortunate enough to have her, and she's been with us before to all of our middle schools because we think it's very important that we start early to get you to concentrate on making good decisions. And I thank her for coming. In 2009, United States Attorney Ortiz was nominated to her position by President Barack Obama, and she was confirmed by the United States Senate by unanimous consent. She is the first woman and the first Hispanic to serve as the United States Attorney for Massachusetts. She is a graduate of Adelphi University and received her Doctor of Jurisprudence degree from George Washington University's National Law Center. She has worked in both the private and the public sector on a myriad of cases. It is an honor right now to introduce the United States Attorney for Massachusetts, Carmen Milagros Ortiz.
I can move around with this? Great. Well, good morning, everyone. I am so excited to be here back in Lynn. This is, I think, my third appearance with students. And I'm thrilled that this room, this huge auditorium, is filled with all of you. Because you, not only do you have a chance to make a difference and make an impact and change the world, but you have all that because you are our future. So I thank you for being here. And I want to thank the Stop the Violence Committee in Lynn. No, they've invited me here. John Ford, where's John? John, thank you. And I want to thank your superintendent, Latham, Chief of Police Coppinger, as well as Mayor Kennedy. You know, they're all here. They got together, worked on this program, invited us to come. Not only are you going to hear from me this morning, but you're also going to hear from my colleague, Jamil. And Jamil is a young man. I'll tell you a little bit more about him when I introduce him, when I'm done with my own remarks. But they all work together to set this program here because they care about you. And they want to make sure that they do everything that they can to help you make the right choices in life, to help you make the right decision, so that you can achieve your dreams, so that you can do whatever you set out to do. Whether you want to be a teacher, you want to be a singer, an artist, a scientist, a coach, a baseball player or a basketball player or a football player, whatever your heart is set on, whatever you are passionate about that you think you would be good at and you would enjoy, we want to help you get there. We want to help you achieve your dreams. And it's important because you're our future. But it's not easy. It's not easy. We live, as you heard Chief Coppinger tell you, we live in a really really tough times right now. There is a lot of violence, and you're surrounded by some of that violence. But you know what? When I look out into the audience, when I see your faces, you remind me of me so many, many years ago when I was a little girl growing up in New York City. And I was the oldest of 5 children. My parents are from Puerto Rico. They moved to New York City because they wanted a better life for their family. They wanted their children to have more opportunities. And so I grew up in a household where my parents didn't speak English. They didn't have much education. Neither one of my parents, my mom or my dad, had graduated even from high school. But you know what? They taught me 2 things: to work really, really, really hard in school and to dream big. To really think about, what did I want to do? To give me the tools, the ability to achieve whatever I wanted to achieve. And it wasn't easy. I grew up in the projects in Spanish Harlem. It was not a safe neighborhood. I wasn't allowed to hang out. I really wasn't allowed to go outside and play, because the few times that I did, in those days, we didn't have a lot of guns on the street. Now maybe you get killed, but in those days, got beaten up a few times. And so my parents were very, very strict. You know, I went from home to school and from school home. Spent a lot of time in the library. That was the one safe place that they liked. And even though they couldn't help me at school, all right, I didn't have any help with homework. And when sometimes school would get hard, you know, I would struggle with a class, or I didn't do so well in one course. But you know what? You heard the superintendent tell you, there's so many people that are here to help you when you struggle in school, or when you're struggling at home, or when you're struggling in the neighborhood. There's teachers and guidance counselors and coaches and social workers, people who care about you, because these are tough times. So I'm not gonna lie to you. And I know it's hard. And some of you have a lot of support at home, and sometimes you don't have that much support at home. But when you don't have that much support at home, look around you, not only in school, but in your community. Look at this great committee that's here to help you, because they want to stop the violence. And when I was a kid, I focused on school. And when I got to, right before high school, when I was around your age, as I was entering high school, I decided that I wanted to be a lawyer. Why did I want to be a lawyer at that early age? Well, part of it is I thought that as a lawyer, I could help people, and I could have a better life. My kids wouldn't have to grow up cooped up in a little apartment that we lived in. But I also thought it'd be fun to be a lawyer. I would watch a show. None of you know this show. I think some of the grown-ups here may. Perry Mason, but similar to Law and Order. How many of you have watched Law and Order? Huh? Everybody's watched Law and Order, right? So, you know, I watched a show. There's a little bit like that. But I love the courtroom drama. I love the way the lawyers got up in the court and questioned a witness and made an argument before a jury. And I thought I could be good at that. I thought it'd be interesting to study the law and to use the law to help people, to make a difference. But you know what? When I decided I wanted to go to law school, I realized that if I want to go to law school, that means I have to go to college. And if I want to go to college, that means I have to graduate from high school. And that meant I had to work really, really hard. But even though I had to work hard, I surrounded myself with people who could help me. And it didn't seem that bad because I was working towards my dream. And I'm not here to tell you you should be lawyers, because sometimes law is great for some people, but it isn't. But you should think about, what do you want to do? What makes you happy? What do you think you'd be good at? And start thinking now. And you know what you dream to be, what your goals are, they change with time. What you want to do today may not be what you want to do in 5 years, or in 10 years, or 15 years. But you know what? Once I decided to go to law school, I never gave up on reaching that goal. Even though I had some friends who would tell me, why do you want to go to law school? I had some who said, why do you want to go to college? That's a lot of work. That's a lot of money. I didn't have any money back then. I didn't have any money. But you know what? I worked, so I saved my money. I studied really hard in school so I could get some scholarships. And there's financial aid. When you don't have a lot of money, schools have a mechanism to help you come up with the money. And then there's loans. I took out loans when I was younger. I did whatever I could to reach my goal. And it wasn't easy, but I had people who helped me, who gave me advice, and who supported me and encouraged me. For every friend that I had who told me, don't go to college, you could get a job now, you can make money. I had other friends who said, wow, that's really cool. You're going to be a lawyer? That's great. That's what I suggest you. Surround yourself with the friends, with the people who are going to support you and encourage you and help you to achieve your dreams. So I have been a lawyer, and now I'm the U.S. attorney. And I've been a lawyer for over 30 years. Seems like a long time, doesn't it? When I was young, going to law school, it seemed like I would never be able to graduate from law. It just seemed like a long, long road. But whatever you want to do, don't let that discourage you, that it takes hard work and that it's going to take a long time. Because trust me, as you get older, the time just seems to fly by. And I wanted to have everything in life. I wanted to be a lawyer, I wanted to be a mom, I wanted to be a wife, and I wanted to be a friend. And now I'm thrilled. I made some good choices, but sometimes it wasn't easy. So I asked for help. So that's what I'm telling you to do. When you're struggling in class, when something's not going right at home, when you're having problems with a friend, when it just seems like the world is against you, don't listen to bad choices. Don't get involved with friends who are going to lead you to gangs, to violence. As the United States Attorney, I'm what they refer to as the feds. I'm part of the feds. Do any of you know what that means? The feds, federal court? That's where we investigate and we prosecute really serious criminals. We prosecute bad people who do bad things. We prosecute young people. We put young people in jail who have done bad things. That's probably one of my key roles as a United States Attorney. But you know what else is my role and why I am here? Because that's not what we like to do best. What we like to do best is to prevent crime, prevent people, especially young people like you who have your whole life ahead of you, make the right choices. And I'm not saying that you always have to make the right choice every single time, although a really bad one can impact you for the rest of your life. But you will hear Jamil in a few moments talk to you about his life and his choices. And he didn't always make the right choices. But he was very, very lucky. And he'll tell you how after he made some bad choices and some bad things happened to him, he turned his life around. And he's living a very fulfilling, happy life right now, working in a job that he likes. That took him to Sydney, Australia, living in a nice home with his little girl and the mom. So, even when you make bad choices, life can turn around. But we're here to help you prevent that. So I want to give you just some tips before I end. I want to encourage you to dare to dream and to dream big. All right? To think about what you want to do in life, what you'd like to be, what would make you happy. Whether it's in the arts, music, science, law, history. anything you want to do. And I want you to surround yourself with the people that are going to encourage you and support you and help you. If you have friends that are telling you, hey, you don't need school. Hey, you don't need to study for that test. Hey, you don't need to help your parents or help in an activity or help on a project. Find some other friends. Find the friends who are going to encourage you to make the right choices, to have a better life. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. The reason I am here is because I've asked for help throughout my life, and it wasn't always easy. You know, I'm going to share a very, very personal story with you. After I became a lawyer, I got married. I have 2 daughters who are young women now, almost 24 and 28. Big grown-ups, right? I don't look that old, do I? But many, many years ago, my husband became sick. You know, everything was going great in life. And he became sick. And after he became sick, he died. And my girls were left without a dad. I was left without a husband. Life got super, super hard. I had to ask for help. I had to rely on the people that I had surrounded myself with who helped me and encouraged me to help me move on with life again. And I never gave up. I kept working hard. I took care of my girls, and I didn't give up on my work, on my being a good mom. So, and here I am today now as United States Attorney. And I have to tell you that being the first woman and the first Latina United States Attorney from Massachusetts, it gives me a lot of pride. You know, it wasn't easy to get here. So I want to tell you, I hope that when I tell you my story and I share with you some of my own hardships, that you're able to think and see, wow, if she could do it, growing up in the projects, dealing with hardship at the beginning, in the middle, now, I want you to think, wow, if she can do it, if she can achieve her dreams, her goals, so can I. So can I. So I'm here to tell you and encourage you to follow your dreams, take advantage of the people who care about you, who want to help you, and really work hard, not only in school, but at home and in making the right choices. Because you are our future. You are the people who will change things in this world and make things happen. And don't forget that. Thank you. Thanks. Now I would like to introduce Jamil, who Jamil Ball. And Jamil and I have spoken to these kind of gatherings a few times before. So I am thrilled that Jamil is still able to come and join us. He's taken time out of his busy schedule. You know, he works. He has a full-time job. He's a dad. He's a busy man. But you know what? He cares. And that's why he's here today. And I'm not going to tell you his story. I already told you a little bit about it in my speech. But when you hear him speak, I hope that, like me, the first time I heard Jamil and each time I hear him tell his story, I am so moved and so inspired by his story. And it should give you hope. Because even when you make mistakes in life, there's always a way of getting up and turning things around. But we're here to, hopefully you won't make the same mistakes, and Jamil will tell you why. So please, give a warm, warm welcome to Jamil Ball.
Good morning. I just want to start off by saying I appreciate you guys having me here. Every time I come, it's a new, exciting experience. I'm no public speaker, so bear with me. So my story goes a lot different than Carmen's story. My parents weren't very encouraging. I didn't come from a very encouraging home. My parents were drug dealers since my inception. Since I can remember, my parents sold drugs. Personal story, I remember being probably in like 3rd grade, and you go around and you do like, what you want to do when you get older. And the teacher came to me and said, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to be a drug dealer. Teacher got silent. You should have seen like her mouth drop. It just dropped from her face. Like, what did you just say? I said, I want to be a drug dealer, because I wanted to be just like my parents. Because everybody, as a kid, you grow up and you look up to your parents, and I wanted to be exactly, like them. Next thing I know, knock, knock, DSS was at my door. Now it's Department of Family and Children's Services, but back in my day, it was DSS. Shortly after that, I think I was in the 4th grade. I was in the 4th grade, transitioning to the 5th grade. My parents actually went to prison. So my parents were trafficking from DR back to the U.S., and they ended up getting locked up. So after that, I bounced around from here to there to there to there. Spent most of my time between Lynn and Salem. And I'll say when I was about 15 years old, I had already gotten involved in gangs and stuff like that, hanging around with kids that had no aspiration, no goals in life. They weren't positive influences on me. And ultimately, I got myself in a lot of trouble and I became homeless. I remember being in Lynn, walking around the city at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning with nowhere to sleep. So I'd kick in people's basements and I'd sleep in there until the next day. And I was in school just like you guys. I went to show up to school every day. I went to school more for like the free meal, to have somewhere to hang out, maybe somewhere to sell drugs, basically to corrupt other people. And it was just one poor decision after another. But we'll fast forward. So I was in high school. I was a pretty good basketball player. I had teachers and resources, guidance counselors, even cops encouraging me, to do other things. Like, hey, we can get you a job here. Or I remember I worked at Shaw's for 30 minutes. They got me the job there. I did the whole orientation thing. And then it was like 100 degrees. They said, go outside and push those carrots. I went home. And with every opportunity that I had, I didn't take advantage of it. I ignored it. Teachers saying, hey, we know you're going through stuff. We can help you. Ignore. I'll sell drugs. Cops saying, hey, you're a great student. We can, great basketball player. We can get you into this public school. No, ignore. I'm going to run with these thugs. I'm going to run with these gang members. I'm going to do whatever the hell I want to do, ultimately. And when I was, I'll say, 17 or 18, the funny thing is, I ended up getting locked up for the same thing that my parents did. So regardless of all the mistakes that I've seen them make, I didn't learn from them, and all the people that were willing to help me, I didn't listen to them. And I ultimately ended up in prison for the same thing that my parents did. So what I'd say is, when I look back on my situation, the thing that I lacked, number one, was confidence. And because I lacked that confidence, I ended up getting myself involved with other people that lack confidence. And so as a result of that, I lacked drive and ambition, which resulted in imprisonment. So once I got out of prison, and I realized that the decisions that I were making weren't getting me anywhere. They weren't getting me. I wasn't successful. All the people that I thought I was friends with, when I got locked up, they weren't there. By the time that I got out, they were nowhere to be found, because they were probably in jail as well, or they weren't dead, or they were dead. So ultimately, I decided, well, maybe it might make sense that I start listening to these resources, these teachers, these officers, these outreach programs that are all there for no other goal than to help me be successful. So they said, hey, this is school. It's called Year Up. And what Year Up was, it was a one-year program through Cambridge College. For 6 months, you sit in the classroom. For the next 6 months, they put you in the corporate world somewhere. And then you go there and you do your job or whatever. And then ultimately, it could result in opportunity in the corporate world, or you've learned and you've developed a talent that you can use to be successful in life. So when I went to this college, I started to discover things about myself. Like, hey, you know what? I actually enjoy learning. And hey, you know what? I'm actually pretty smart when I decide to apply myself. And hey, you know what? I'm actually I actually developed confidence. I'll say that. And then once I got into the program, that 1 year wasn't enough. I said, you know, I want to finish the school thing. So ultimately, I went to school and I graduated college. I'm actually the first person in my family, which is, I say I have 8 younger brothers and sisters that graduated college. And then once I graduated college, I decided I want more. So I worked hard. I progressed in my career. I had a daughter. I bought a house. I have a nice car. But the choices that I made, even though in some ways I'm a success, there's still consequences. There's still consequences. One of the consequences is one day I'm going to have to explain to my daughter all the decisions that I made. All right? There are jobs, and the other consequences is I have to live with all the choices that I made when I was younger. All the choices that I made that impacted other people's life, all the choices that I made that hurt the people that I most care about, all the bridges I've burnt. And I also have to live with the fact that regardless of how hard I work, I will never be able to reach my true ceiling because I set limitations on myself. Everybody talks about the permanent record. You know what your permanent record is? Number one, it's your criminal history. That's number one, and then it's your credit, but that's a whole nother story. All right. But because of my background, I will always be flagged for things. When I went to Sydney, every time I fly international, there's 2 men waiting for me. As soon as I get on the plane, they want to know why I'm going and where I'm going there. And you know how embarrassing that is? When you're with your coworkers and you're traveling to another country and you're getting stopped by customs every single time, or you're in a car with your friends and you guys are just driving to the casino and the officer wants you to step out. And my friends are different now. I mean, my friends are lawyers, they're doctors, they're not gang members. And I get pulled out of the car, sir, what are you doing with these guys? You know, we're going to search the whole car. It's embarrassing. So regardless of how much success that I achieve, my life will be always impacted by the decisions that I made a very long time ago. But my message is for you guys here. I'm not paid to be here. I come here free of will because I hope that I can change one of your lives. If my story impacts one person here, I'm happy. But my statement to you guys is the same as Carmen's. I want you to dream big. Set high goals, high goals. Don't let nobody tell you what you can't do. Work hard and achieve them. Because everybody always told me what I couldn't do. I remember going to college and my mother told me, why are you going to college? You're only going to end up in jail. And I graduated. So regardless of what anybody tells you, as long as you set high goals and you work hard, there's nothing that you can't achieve. And I'll tell you, everything that I accomplished, doing things the right way, working hard, and being dedicated feels so much better than when I accomplished when I was a punk and doing things the right way. So again, I want to thank you guys for having me here today. And I
want to thank you all for coming. I'd like to thank our speakers of today. Please give them a nice round of applause. Thank you, Chief Coppinger, U.S. Attorney Carmen Ortiz, Jamil Beal, Dr. Kathy Latham, Mayor Kennedy, and Deputy Superintendent Patrick Tutwiler. He's new and I'm still trying to learn his name. Sorry about that. All right, that's going to conclude today's thing.